Well, of all the talk about the United DNA, I think Michael Carrick just showed us a little glimpse of what it's all about. And I'm going to go over two of the disallowed goals in the first half and then the two actual goals in the second half to really demonstrate how the quote unquote United DNA was at its most effective and how it caught City out badly. And there's so many dynamics to this, so I'm going to get started right now. Lamins is on the ball, and Lamins yesterday I thought was excellent in his quick releases of the ball. At points, especially with Onana in goal, when United needed to transition, when they'd regained possession of the ball through their goalkeeper, they transitioned into attack horrifically. United should be one of the best transitional teams in the world, and Lamins' quality, he maybe isn't as techie with the ball at his feet, he maybe isn't the modern sweeper keeper, but he's effective. He gets the ball up the pitch quick, and he's got a long kick and a long throw. And sometimes for me, that's just as important as being able to take a touch under pressure and being the extra man. Van der Sar had it, Schmeichel had it, and Lamins looks like he's possessing that same quality. And his quick release is going to be so important to this attack going forward now, because I'm just going to point out a couple of players. There's Semenyo on this side. I don't know quite what he's waving at, to be honest with you. I think he's pointing at the referee for something. He's not concentrated. You've got Erling Haaland, who's looking behind him to see where Dalot is. He's sort of trying to adjust himself. You've got Foden, who's looking behind him, not really in a position where he's doing anything in the press. And Doku, who you think will be marking Dalot, but he's not close. He's not engaged in his pressing setup yet. And Casemiro now has a lot of space in the middle of the park now, as a result of City being just sort of not concentrated when Lamins releases this. So he does in the next slide. And look, Casemiro gets the ball. Foden's having to react. He's not really getting close to him because he was caught in between players, not really set up in his next phase. And that front line has been beaten, so United have territory in the middle of the pitch. And you've got Bernardo Silva, who was tracking his countryman, Bruno Fernandes, all game. And just look at what Bruno Fernandes is doing now. He's pulling out wide. And this rotation between himself and Mbeumo and Ahmad was excellent. And the combination of that front four, I'll include Dorgu in as well, was excellent all game. So Bruno Fernandes is pulling out wide as Casemiro's got the time and space to turn on the ball because of City's lack of concentration. And Mbeumo then comes up from his position at centre forward, engaged by Max Elaine, into that space now that Bruno Fernandes has just vacated. You've got Rodri, who I didn't understand his position and his role all game. He wasn't really contributing to anyone, wasn't really marking anyone. I think he was the spare man, but he wasn't doing a great job of covering space. If anything, the man that was dropping into space and dropping into the defensive line a lot more was Bernardo Silva. But Brian and Mbeumo dropping in, and just look at this player right here. Ahmad, because he sees Bruno Fernandes as pulling out wide into this position, is starting to make that movement into the centre forward area. There's space now because of Elaine going to engage with Mbeumo, and Kusanov is all the way over here on the far side, not in a position where he can cover around. And does Mbeumo have the quality to find that pass into Bruno Fernandes? Of course he does. The combination between those two is excellent. And now City are in danger and United are in business. You've got Bernardo Silva, who's just let Bruno Fernandes run off him because he's not really tight. He can't really anticipate the run well enough, or doesn't anticipate the run well enough. And the pass from Mbeumo is top draw. Ake then panics to have to come across to try and cut out Bruno Fernandes and get close to him and try and win the ball. Kusanov has not covered across. He's not smelt danger. He's not read the situation well enough at all to cover for his centre-back partner. Ake has to come across, and then Mbeumo just goes a split second too early and just gets in front of the line, and he's caught offside. He finishes his excellently, but it just shows the threat that United have, and it just shows how willing they are to capitalise on City's disorganisation all over the pitch, structurally and defensively, and that's going to come into play throughout all these chances. And this is the second disallowed goal, and this is a bit more simple, really. This is just a bit more straightforward. So you've got City's press, and I say press because it's not really doing much of anything at this point. There's your front two, there's Haaland and Foden, there's your midfield four with the wingers outside of Bernardo Silva and Rodri, and you've got the back four, right back to centre back, and then there's Ake just off screen because he's got Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo on the outside of him, so he's coming a little bit wider. And to be fair, what you can see there through his head movement is Bernardo Silva's aware of that, and he's sort of half dropping to make sure he's got protection of that space. But the biggest issue with all of this is City are playing a very high line. They're compact, which is good. They're playing a very high line with no pressure on the ball. And Lisandro Martinez is on the ball now. He's taken a touch. He's got time to pick a pass out to quick players who will look to break in behind. That front four were ready to attack the space in behind City's back four all game. You've got Mbuemo, whose movement's elite level. You've got Dorgu and Ahmad, who are lightning quick acceleration like you wouldn't believe. And Bruno Fernandes as well, who's very clever with his movement. And Haaland was sort of doing a dual role at points in between the centre-backs as he'd just gone over to press Harry Maguire, not really getting close, and now that's an easy pass to Lisandro Martinez. He's got to cover across, doesn't do it with enough intensity. Semenyo on the far side is half sort of stuck in between. Does he track this man on the far side, Luke Shaw, who's gone on the overlap because Dallow's starting to tuck in, or come out and engage with Lisandro Martinez in this position? He's not really close enough to do either. He's sort of in the middle of nowhere. Rodri, who's, again, I just don't know what role he's playing. As a result, a player that's got the great technical and passing quality of Lisandro Martinez is able to fire this pass over to Bruno Fernandes. Ake drops a little bit too quickly. He recovers slightly because Bruno gets caught offside, but just look, his initial reaction is to track the run when he could have just let it go, and he almost results in that being a goal because he's been caught tracking the run a little bit too keenly and not playing offside with the rest of his defence. And it's going to be a common theme throughout some of these chances is how individual this City defence looked at points. They were so not on the same wavelength, so all over the place. And look, it's a rotated back four. Nunes, there's some horrible rumours coming out about him, and I hope they're all untrue. God bless him if something is really seriously wrong with him. Diaz and Gvardiol not being available, and Nico O'Reilly, who I couldn't quite believe didn't start, and maybe moved Ake into the centre. But, I don't know, I think it's fair to expect a bit more. But Lisandro Martinez fires an absolutely perfect ball over the top. Bruno Fernandes' finish is ice cold. Just a little bit of a split-second movement from Ake, and it's caught offside. But again, the defensive issues for City are there to be exploited. United have got the perfect profiles and skill set to make the most of the chances that this City defence is going to give them. And now the first goal, the big goal. And this is right after a City free kick on the edge of the box. Harry Maguire's headed it onto the edge. And Mbuemo's touch to set this pass through to Bruno Fernandes is exquisite. Like for the first disallowed goal, it was absolutely excellent. And it sets Bruno Fernandes, who's on his way. Look how many City players he's in front of. And also, just look at the intent from Dorgu and from Ahmad. They've stayed in a sort of half-cheating position where they can get back into the box and defend if City could sustain pressure, but then also just slightly cheating on the edge where if United win the ball, they're countering, they're exploiting the space that City have vacated, and this is a seriously dangerous situation now for Manchester City as Mbuemo finds that pass into Bruno Fernandes, and look, there is 4-on-2 in this position. Dorgu, Bruno on the ball, Mbuemo, Ahmad with the two defenders here, one of them being Kusanov, and the other, I think that's Bernardo Silva just outside of him. The absolute worst situation you can hope to be in for Manchester City. You've got Ahmad and Dorgu attacking the width, you've got Bruno Fernandes running with the ball, and you've got Mbuemo in control of this situation now with his stride. His movement is elite level, as I was saying. Where Kusanov really didn't do himself any favours, and he got done by Bruno Fernandes a bit. So I'm using this angle here just to dictate this. So Bruno Fernandes has got the ball now. You've seen Mbuemo has now made this sort of curved run. Keep in mind, in the previous picture, he was on the right side of Bruno Fernandes, and he's made this run now just on the outside of him to exploit the space in between Kusanov and Semenyo, who's running back in that position. Bruno is now starting to take a touch inside, and just look at Kusanov's stride as well. He's slowly moving towards him and is trying to track that run. He sees the threat there, and he thinks if he can just come across, he's close enough to be able to react to Bruno Fernandes and then jump to Bryan Mbuemo if that pass is made. But Bruno's intelligence knows no bounds, makes a subtle little movement inside as if he's shaping up to play onto the outside, which is where Amad Diallo is. Kusanov gets caught by it. He should just sort of let that run go and hope that his defensive partner alongside of him is there to deal with it, because if the ball goes out wide, they should be able to react and get over to that side, but he gets conned a bit by the movement and comes inside. He halts his run to move back in just a little bit more and try and cover that run. And then as a result, it means that there's more space that's going to be created between himself and Mbuemo. And he's caught over to that side. Now look at the space that's developed. And Bruno plays a beautiful reverse pass. Kusanov, conned by the movement, has quickly just gone from this position here and then has to now come back and to try and cover across to Mbuemo. When in reality, in his original position, he was roughly about here. And I know that's only a couple yards, but his momentum is taken in one way, so he's got to rebalance his momentum going back the other way, at which point Mbuemo's already through and he's in the position you don't want him to be in. Whereas in this position, he's managing it, he's in control, he's side on, he's got the momentum, he can quickly charge to Mbeumo and try and prevent the danger as much as possible, force him as far away from goal as he can. But that subtle little movement for Bruno Fernandes takes Kusanov away and then puts it back into Mbeumo. The pass is weighted expertly, and the first time finish from Mbeumo is top draw. And those two, for Manchester United, I think, with this new system of Carrick's, is going to be a difficult task for any other defence to deal with. They've got the quality you want in a sort of playmaker goal scorer duo. Movement, technical quality, a bit of athleticism as well in transition and against low blocks. Those two will win United games single-handedly, even in games when they're not playing well. I mean, hell, they did it for Amarin quite a lot. So, first goal, big goal. And the second goal, I'm going to be very, very critical on Manchester City. I'm going to go for Kusanov again here, and I feel a little bit bad for it. Because obviously I'm just trying to analyse it and I'm just trying to give you my version of events of why it all went wrong. And as a result of that, I have to be very critical of Kusanov. But I almost feel a bit sorry for him. He's just not good enough for Manchester City. He's so out of his depth. It's untrue. Him and Rico Lewis for this goal, I thought, covered themselves terribly. Ake doesn't do great either, by the way, and Ake had a really bad game as well. So O'Reilly loses that to Cunha. Cunha's now gotten himself into a fantastic position with his driving of the ball, ready to play a ball across the 6-yard box. Kusanov, as you can see here, is moving his head behind him. He's looking at Rico Lewis. He's looking at Patrick Dorgu, who's in behind Rico Lewis. So Kusanov sees danger. He can see what threat is developing at that back post. Rico Lewis, by the way, doesn't look over his head once, and it's going to become so paramount when that ball goes in and Dorgu gets the shot on that leads to the goal. Ake's dropping slightly, but he needs to drop further and quicker to try and cut out Cunha, because Cunha's got the beating of O'Reilly now, and there's nobody in line with O'Reilly. There's no one getting across that 6-yard box to try and prevent any ball from coming in. So Cunha gets the cross away. A brilliant cross, might I add. It's put it on an absolute plate for a run at the back post. Ake is nowhere near. I mean, it's a lazy attempt at blocking the ball. It's never happening there. I don't know what he's trying. It's almost a little bit insulting to try. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8 yards between himself and O'Reilly. He's not at the near stick covering that area to clear the ball away. And just look at Kusanov as well, and look at Rico Lewis, and look at Dorgu. Just look at the difference in the stride, in the stance of them. Like, we're talking intensity here. Kusanov has stood still. Why he stood still, I have no clue. Whether he just thinks Rico Lewis is going to clean this up, which Rico Lewis should do, but he can't just leave that to chance. He's stopped. He's nowhere near in line with Nathan Ake now. As that ball, as well, is an outswinger. So from where it's come from Cunha here, it's coming into this area. It's coming backwards. That should be a centre-back dealing with it. Near post, far post, both of them should be ready to deal with that. He's leaving it to chance. Rico Lewis, again, upright, doesn't see Dorgu coming at all. Kusanov has then come to a complete stop and now turns his head. Now looks for the run. He's assuming Rico Lewis is going to deal with it. And Rico Lewis, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. He's not gotten himself in a good position because he's not scanned his head once. He's not seen the run of Dorgu coming. So he can't block the run. He can't quickly get in front of him as well to try and get a tackle in and win the ball as the cross comes around. Just a really poor awareness from a defender at the back post here. As a result, Kusanov is now behind Dorgu. He's not even close to intercepting that cross and preventing it from coming to Dorgu. Rico Lewis, because he's not looked over his shoulder once, he's not anticipating the run of Dorgu, just gets absolutely bullied by intensity here. And Dorgu gets in front of him and sticks it in the back of the net, thanks to the lack of concentration and the lack of awareness from Rico Lewis and Kusanov at that back stick. Ake doesn't do great either. Nico O'Reilly gets beaten far too easily by Cunha. It's a mess all round, and United, full credit, counter-attack, fast, direct, intense, everything you want to see from a Manchester United performance, and they were unlucky not to score more. They battered City. This is a real big issue for Pep Guardiola. They're obviously signing Guehi to cope with it, but I'm not sure that's enough. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know down below, and I'll see you next time. In a bit, lads.